As you saw from those opening shots, this is quite the watch. This is the A10 from Aventi, the first watch that this brand has produced. However, they are founded by the same guys who founded S-Force, and their experience in building watches definitely shows here, because they have managed to pull off what I think is one of the most impressive watches for this price range I've ever seen. This is obviously a race car inspired, supercar inspired watch. You can see that skeletonized dial with not exactly the most legible dial in the world. However, with a watch like this, I don't really think you're going to be too bothered about that, because at the end of the day, it's just such a good looking design. Now, you have a Cerakote application on the case. Keep in mind that this is a prototype model, so there are going to be some scratches and dings and bangs around the case, because this isn't yet the mass production model that's going to be sent out between September and November of this year. Obviously, looking at the case, the first thing that comes to mind is supercars, Ferraris, Lamborghini, those lines, quite aggressive lines at the corners, that shape keeping in line with what you'd expect a car to look like if you're looking at it from the top, with those sections at the top and at the bottom kind of emulating the fender and the bumper. And then if you turn the lights off, this watch looks just as cool because of the craziest application of lume that I've ever seen. This is Swiss Super Luminova and a bunch of it. Really, trust me that this shot is not doing any justice to the amount of lume that this watch has. It just shines like a torch on your wrist and it lasts hours. It's the coolest application of lume that I've ever seen on a watch for this price range. If you look at the case, you'll see at the top you have this signed crown. I really like the fact that they've gone for the crown at the top, kind of out of the way, keeping in line with that automotive inspired case design. Now, if you have a look at the buckle, you'll see the cutout for the V. You also have the V at the top of the strap. This is kind of the quilted strap. Personally, it's not my favorite. I much prefer this rubber strap with the red buckle, and it's a very, very nice design on the rubber strap. Personally, I didn't want to change these out, but I don't want to risk scratching up the prototype model, as I do have to send this model back, so I'm just going to show you the actual straps by themselves. If you look at the sides of the case, you'll see that it's quite a simple case design from the sides, except for two angles on the corners. However, they have done these cutouts on the case bottom of the case that help with the wearability of this watch. They make it so that it contours to your wrist very, very nicely, which make this watch, even though it's a 55.5mm watch, very, very wearable. At no point of the day did I ever feel like I was wearing a 55.5mm watch, and obviously because of the titanium, it's very lightweight, so the only time you ever really notice how big it is when you actually look at it. And when you look at it, is, well, there's no way of saying it other than imposing. It's a very, very imposing watch. It's a kind of watch that's going to get you a lot of attention, and it has gotten me a lot of attention in the just under a week that I've been wearing it pretty much non-stop since I got it in for review. Now, one of the things that has most impressed me in terms of the actual build quality of this watch, besides the fact that they do have things like that Cerakote application on the case, the titanium case, they have 5 applications of anti-reflective coating on the sapphire crystal, which is a flat sapphire crystal, as you can see here, which make so that the actual viewing of the skeletonized dial is much cleaner, much nicer. I think that's definitely a good touch they've done there. And I really like these sections at the top and at the bottom, because they kind of add a whole different level to this watch. They add a bit more complexity to it with those screws in there. And then at the back you have the case back in that matte black with a bunch of screws around it, once again emulating the underside of the car. Just looks so cool, so aggressive. And as you can see, this watch has a lot of see-through parts, which once again I think helps with it looking more open and with it looking less bulky. But just keep in mind that because of the actual case shape, this was going to always be a bulky design. However, because of how open that dial looks, I think especially when you're looking at it from the top, it looks much much neater, much cleaner than it would had they gone for a closed case back. Now, one of the things that impressed me the most was that even in a macro shot like this one of the tourbillon, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous looking tourbillon. Keep in mind, guys, this is a tourbillon movement with this quality of finishing in a watch with this quality of construction and these materials for under $2,000. And if you get it at Indiegogo price, it's going to be well under $2,000 at $1,200, which is just, I mean, it's just a crazy price. It's just ridiculous how they're able to make this kind of a watch for that price. And when you actually go on their Indiegogo campaign and you look and you read the information that they have, they're quite transparent about the sourcing of their materials, about the manufacturing. They're not trying to be anything they're not, and they're proud of being what they are, and they're proud of building the watch where they build it. And when you actually look at the information that relates to why these things like titanium cases and tourbillon movements have been so expensive for so long, you realize that one of the main reasons is indeed greed. It's because you have these companies who have got the hegemony of being able to pretty much keep everyone else out of this kind of market, of this kind of ability of having a watch with this kind of movement, this kind of materials. And they've been creating this virtual price and virtual scarcity by keeping prices high just because they have the power to do so. So whenever you see companies like Aventi that are looking to bring down that power structure that is keeping people who don't want to or don't have tens of thousands of dollars to spend on a watch, they're bringing the possibility of being able to have these kind of high-end movements in a watch that is finished to this kind of a standard. So I mean, personally, this is hats off to these guys. There's really no other way I can say it. This is one of the most impressive watches that I've seen for this price ever in the 6 years that I've been collecting watches. I've seen hundreds of different watches from a whole load of different brands, and I'm really, really impressed with what these guys have done. And if this is what they've done as their first watch, at least of this brand, Aventi, I really can't wait to see what they're going to do in the future. So keep in mind that even though this was sent in for review, they didn't tell me what to say, they didn't pay me to give them a good review. All these thoughts are my own opinions, and the main reason why I've been raving about this watch for the past week on my social media is because it was everything I hoped it would be the first time I saw it on pictures and on video on their Indiegogo campaign, and then some. So personally, if you like this kind of design, which is obviously I think going to be a big factor, if you like this kind of aesthetic on a watch, I can pretty much guarantee that this watch is built to a very high standard, and that the quality of the materials used in it are pretty much unheard of for this price range. So it's easy for me to be able to recommend it to anyone who's looking at getting a watch with this kind of design, because personally I really don't think there's any other alternative out there for anywhere near this price. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. Till the next time, peace.